Hello, this is Nancy with Yoga Journey 108, and for today's journey, we're going to journey into our hips. Our hips have been with us every step of the way, and they're built for stability. So what that means is in the course of their function, they may have started to tighten up. And so we're gonna venture into the darker places of our hip joints. So to start out, let's come onto our backs. We're gonna warm up our hips, warm up the various parts of our body so that we can enjoy this exploration. So first, let's come into the space, come into the now. Just give yourself a few breaths in shavasana. Give yourself a chance to settle into yourself. And because we have monkey minds, and our monkey minds want to go everywhere, we are going to just focus on the breath. The breath is where we can let the monkey mind come back to whenever it wants to go jumping around the trees. The trees of the future and the trees of the past. We're just going to come on back, monkey. Let's just settle into our breath. Okay, and let's keep our breath going as we work into our hips. So first we're going to bring the knees up to the chest and give them a nice squeeze. Let the feet be relaxed. Let the shoulder, the back of the head sink into the mat. If you can close your eyes, that's great, because then you can just sink your awareness into other parts of your nervous system, specifically the hips. And so we're going to spend this flow, this sequence, really inhabiting the hips. Okay, so let's start to wake things up a bit. Okay. So first order of business, we're just going to part the knees, and we're just going to sway from side to side. Let the spine follow the hips. Okay, and then we're going to keep the knees separated and the feet separated. We're going to plant our arms, and we're going to keep it going on the lower body. Rolling your sacrum back and forth. The sacrum is that bone, the fused vertebrae that are at the bottom of your spine. They connect in with our hip joint, with our pelvis. Connected by the sacroiliac joint for my anatomy geeks out there. Okay, let's start working, and maybe you can stretch the leg out, get some freedom in those hip joints, some fluidity. Just play around with the movement. And we'll come back to center, bring both knees into the chest, and we're going to find our way up to seated. Okay, once we get up here to sitting, fix our hairs. All right, we're going to bring the soles of our feet together, sit up nice and straight in Baddha Konasana. This is the bound angle. So let's find our hips. Okay, if you have a tendency to sag back in this position, we want to roll ourselves forward. And what you can do to kind of help that out, maybe one, is move the flesh of the bum out of the way so you can sit up tall, or even bring yourself like a rolled up towel and just kind of sit on the edge of it like you're falling off. That'll help neutralize the pelvis. And we find our sit bones, sit up nice and tall. If your knees are up pretty high on this pose, we can use our elbows to guide the knees down. And so now when we're doing this, we're not just going straight down with this. We're pulling the flesh of the thigh toward the knee and then coming toward the ground. Okay, so we want to get some length in the hip joint before forcing our legs down. So just gently guiding out and down with the elbows. Okay, before we go into our full forward fold, we'll do a bit of a twist. So take our right hand. Again, we're going to out and down toward the knee. Take the left hand behind the spine, roll the shoulder open, and let's gaze out over the left shoulder. Both sit bones nice and stable on the mat. So pressing that thigh and knee away with the right hand as we draw the right ribs around. Inhale here, Exhale back to center. We're going to do the same thing over here. Slide the flesh out and down. Bring the right fingertips behind the spine so we get lots of length, lots of height. And roll our chest toward the right. It's okay for the neck. Go ahead and look out over the right shoulder. Breathe into the twist. You didn't forget breathing, did you? I didn't think so. Okay, let's keep breathing. Into the belly and exhale all the way out again. Give the monkey mind something to settle in. Inhale here. Exhale back to center. Let's sit up nice and tall. And we're going to walk our hands forward over our legs. And we're going to find our edge. Oh, now we're getting hippie. Breathe into the hips. Just rest your upper body into gravity. Breathing here. Now the hips, the tissues of the hips is symbolically where we hold a lot of our fight, flight reactions to stimuli. And so by easing ourselves into hip discomfort, where the monkey mind starts to panic and maybe send out danger signals, we're just smoothing out the breath. The breath is a signal to the parasympathetic nervous system what to do. So if your breath is shallow, it provides a kind of feedback loop to tell the parasympathetic nervous system that, okay, we need to be ready to fight or run away. But by slowing down the breath, even when we're uncomfortable, we're telling our nervous system, it's okay. We're not in a crisis. We can settle here. We can inhabit this space without sending adrenaline or any other hormones flushing the system. So let's settle in for a couple more breaths. See if there's a bit of an invitation to sink a little bit deeper. Empty the lungs on the exhale. Inhale to come on up. Beautiful. And let's lean back a bit. Extend the legs out to the side. Again, we're sitting up nice and tall. You might find, again, you're caving back on the back of your sit bones, resting into your tailbone, but we're going to come right back up. Sit up nice and tall. Okay, and we're going to slide one hand down toward the right foot, reach up with the left hand. Okay, pivot the palm and reach overhead. Okay, now what's happening here? We're getting some space through here, but we're also still opening a bit through the hips. We want to stack the shoulders. Okay, reach up out of that hip socket. So chances are you're getting some sensation around the lower waist, around the glute a bit, around that hip bone, working up into the ribs, even into the armpit. Maybe we can look up toward the sky if it's okay for the neck. If it's not, just look straight ahead. Inhale to come up. And exhale, we're going to slide over the other side. We're going to use the elbow on the inside of the leg, or even the wrist on the inside of the leg, to keep our shoulders stacked. And reach out overhead. Gazing at the ceiling if that feels okay. Making sure that the right sit bone is pressing into the mat, because we want to get that anchor so we can get that's where the stretch starts. And if the stretch starts there, then we get the stretch all the way up through the side body, originating at the hip. And if you can close your eyes, voyage into the dark spaces. Your breath is your lantern. Inhale to come up. And exhale, release. Okay, we're gonna bring our legs in. We're gonna roll onto our hands and knees. And then we're gonna sit back on our heels, because I really want us to find the pelvic tilt that we work with over and over and over again in yoga. So as we inhale, see if you can tilt the pelvis forward. So press your ribs on out, press your chest on out, squeeze your shoulder blades together. See if you can bring those the top of the hips toward the front of the room. And now as we exhale, we're gonna sit back, tuck the navel, tuck the chin to kind of encourage the bowl of the pelvis spilling backwards. Inhale to come forward. Keep your hands right on those hip bones so you can feel them spill the fishbowl toward the back of the room. Inhale to spill the fishbowl to the front of the room. Okay, once you got that, let's add some arms. So we'll inhale to cactus arms, and we'll exhale, closing the book. Tuck the chin, tuck the navel in. Inhale, feel the sit bones against your heels. Exhale. Inhale to rock it forward. And exhale to close. Okay, so that's the action of the pelvis we need for our next pose, which is our cat-cow. Cat-cow is used often as a reset button for the spine. You can tuck the toes if you like. That keeps some of the pressure off the knees. Inhale, drop the belly, gazes forward, tailbone reaches up. Exhale, draw the navel in. So really come into the pelvis here. Spilling all the water out into the front. Exhale, tucking the tailbone. Rocking the pelvis back and forth. And exhale. Okay, let's come into bird dog. So we're gonna get our solid foundation here, engage the core so we have a nice neutral spine. We're not catting or cowing here. Inhale the right leg up. Okay. We're not going for flight. So we're gonna try to keep it in the same plane as the back. Okay. Inhale here. And as we exhale, turn the toes toward the sidewall. Okay, what we're doing here is we're stacking our hips. You might get this instruction a lot, particularly in downward dog and when you do three-legged dog. So here we're stacking the hips here in bird dog. Exhale, point the toes to the ground. Inhale, stack the hips. So the right hip on top of the left. Exhale, roll the hips square to the mat. One more time. Inhale up here. Now let's bend that knee. Now let's pivot on the left foot so we have a place to balance our weight on. Lift the right arm. Maybe take that foot. Maybe kick into the hand. So we're kind of doing a half moon, half moon pose here. Okay, the next inhale, let's straighten that leg. Let's come back with the left. Let's square everything to the front of the mat. And exhale to lower down. Let's reset. Inhale through a cow belly stretch and exhale through a cat stretch and come back to center. Let's lift up that left leg. Reach it out. Again, checking that we're not collapsing through the spine in a cow or we're not hunching in our cat. We're right neutral. So that's going to require us to find our core and just gently maintain it. Okay, now let's do the stacking of the hips. So we're gonna roll the toes to the side mat, open the hips to the side. Let's try to keep the shoulders as square as possible. Exhale, lower toes toward the ground again, squaring everything up. Inhale to stack the hips. Exhale to square down. Inhale to stack. We're gonna bend that leg. We're gonna pivot the right foot out. So we have a place to stand on. So then we free up our right hand. Okay? Then we reach back and grab the left foot. No, we freed up our left hand and we're grabbing our left foot. Okay, so we're kind of in our half moon. So let's kick into that hand. Press the pelvis forward. Breathe into that sensation. Chances are you're getting it on the top of the thigh, and it's probably running down into your quad for sure. But let's definitely find some stretch in that psoas. So try to keep the knee level. We're not winging things up here, even though that's kind of pretty that way, isn't it? But we're trying to get the stretch through here. So let's press our hip forward, kick our foot back. One more inhale here. Exhale, let's release the foot, extend it. Let's square ourselves back over our mat. Exhale that foot down. Inhale, cow belly stretch. Exhale, tuck the pelvis, tuck the tailbone, drop the head. Give it a shake. And we're back in the hands and knees. So let's bring the hands a little bit ahead of the shoulders, tuck the toes, and come up into a downward dog. Okay, so from our downward dog, we're gonna do a little bit what we did on our hands and knees. We're gonna inhale the right leg up. We're gonna stack the hips just like we did in our bird dog, okay, on our hands and knees, and reach the toe up as high as we can. When it can't go any higher, then we bend the knee so that the right heel goes toward the glutes. Let's pulse it. Inhale to stretch it up, stretch it up. Exhale, let the toe and heel come down. Inhale, reach it up, reach it up. Exhale, down. We're gonna breathe here. Keep dropping through the right shoulder. We're trying to keep the shoulders nice and square. Breathe into the sensation. Keep pushing the floor away. Keep rooting through the left heel. Keep reaching up with that knee. Ideally, that knee is pointing straight up to the sky. The next inhale, let's straighten it out. And as we exhale, we're gonna slowly bring it through the body to the front of the mat. Help it with your hands if you need to. Pivot on the back foot so it's parallel to the back of the mat. Okay. Toes pointed forward. Let's reach forward with the left hand. Swing it all the way up until we come into warrior two. You're gonna straighten that front leg. Reach up with the hands. Exhale, slide into the pose. Inhale to lift. Exhale, slide on in. Inhale, rise up. Really root down through that back heel as we slide into our warrior two. Gazes over the fingertips. Okay, chances are you're probably feeling a lot of action in that front thigh. Okay, it's strengthening, we're loading it. But we should also be feeling some opening in the hips here, okay, because we're externally rotating this hip. Okay, we also might be feeling something in the right glute as well, because that's stabilizing us, okay? So let's find the strength in our lower body, and then from that strong foundation, there's a lightness in our upper body. Inhale here. And exhale, sink in. Again, inhale, let's straighten that front leg. We're gonna reach out over it and come into our triangle pose. And notice where the sensation is. If all the sensation is just in your hamstrings, let's grab a block. Okay, because we want to try to work into this outer hip. We want to try to get some sensation around that inner right leg. Now, if you're pretty comfortable down here in triangle, then maybe you, on an inhale, you reach forward with the fingertips and find that connection to the hip, to the left hip, all the way out the left fingertips. Inhale here. Exhale, find gravity. Inhale to come on up. Settle into warrior two. An inhale here. And as we exhale, we're gonna windmill, the left hand comes around, pivot on the back foot, so we're square again to the mat. Send the right back to meet the left. Let's do a vinyasa. That's kind of our reset button for the standing poses. Inhale, let's rise into upward dog. Exhale, back into downward dog. Now let's take the left foot right up toward the sky, stack the hips, reach the toes up toward the sky, and sink down through that right heel. Try to drop the left shoulder. So we're keeping square with our shoulder girdle. And we can't reach our toe up any higher, then we can bend the knee. And inhale, straighten things up. On the exhale, heel comes toward the glutes. Inhale, rise. Exhale, down. Breathe here. Knee pointing toward the sky, ideally. If it's not happening right now, that's okay. Feel the opening in the hips, the strength of the arms holding you up. On the next inhale, let's rise. On exhale, let's send it through the hands. Pivot on the back foot. So it's parallel to the back of the mat, heels are lined up. We're gonna reach forward with our right hand and up and around, coming into our warrior two on the left side. And let's flow in. So inhale to rise. Exhale, slide in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, notice how the knee is tracking toward the little toe side of the front foot. Root into the outer blade of the right foot and sink in here. Voyage into your hips. Notice what's happening. Feel the opening in here, the strength of the thigh. Next, inhale, straighten up. Reach out as far as you can over that extended leg. We're trying to keep the body square over that leg. Okay? And reach up toward the sky. If the fingers come to the toes, great. But we don't want, because in this particular series, we really want to focus on our hips. So maybe to keep all the sensation out of the hamstrings, we can use a block to assist us. And then reach forward with our right fingertips and find that opening over the top of the pelvic bone. Okay, let's inhale that right hand up. Exhale, let's settle into the pose. Whoa, I'm not settling. Next inhale, come on up. Exhale, warrior two. Let's inhale in warrior two. And exhale to pivot. Send the left foot back. Flow through vinyasa. And exhale, downward dog. Let's inhale the right leg up. Exhale, send it through the hands. And we're gonna walk ourselves around to the side. So we're squatting over our right leg, right side squat. And let's crab walk it over. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Ah, okay, yeah. And let's crab walk it back over again. Let's see if we can sink our hips a little more. Trying to keep the soles of the feet on the ground as much as possible. Let's try to keep the hips even lower as we come down. Okay, now maybe we're feeling pretty strong and open and we can just kind of lift our hands. Maybe we can kind of fly back and forth. Now, if this is too much for the knees, please, 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 please come back. Our knees are so precious. Come on back to your fingertips and crawl back and forth. Okay, once we come back to the right side, we're gonna settle in. Maybe we can take the fingertips to the in front of the feet, in front of the toes. We're gonna use the upper arm to keep that knee wide. Maybe we reach up with our left hand and open our chest. Oh, hello, hips. Maybe we can find a bind. So reaching the right hand around the front of the shin, left hand around the back, and the fingers bind. Now, the whole point of the bind is to keep that left shoulder open. Keep rolling that left shoulder and spiraling the body, spiraling the upper body toward the sky. Okay, no matter where you are, let's bring our hands back to the ground and walk ourselves over to the other side, or fly if you're feeling flyy. Let's bring the hand in front of those toes, setting up over here. Maybe we reach up with the right hand. Oh, now this might be a completely different experience for you. On the left side, you might have more freedom, you might have less freedom. Be okay with that, hang out with that, notice it. And if you have the freedom, go ahead and wrap the left arm around the shin and bind around behind the back. Well, it is definitely a different experience for me over here. My twisting toward the right is a little bit different, and that's great. Inhale here, and let's exhale. Let's come back to the center. Straighten the legs. Let's bring the toes in slightly pigeon-toed and fold forward. Ah. Your hips are probably going, thank you, thank you, thank you. Feel a lift through the inner thighs and the lengthening through the outer legs. Let's inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, hands to hips, long spine all the way up. And then from here, we're gonna bring the feet in together. So you can either do that with a hop or however you wanna do that. Okay, so actually we're gonna keep the feet about a little more than hip width apart. Okay? And we're gonna come down into a squat, into a nice deep squat. Let's bring the elbows into the knees and just gently guide them outward and sit up nice and tall. Breathe into the hips. Lengthen to the crown of the head. Inhale here. Exhale, let's see if we can walk the fingertips forward between the knees. And we can't reach them any more forward. Maybe we interlace the fingers behind the head and just give some weight. We're not pulling, we're just giving some weight to our head. Inhale here. Exhale, let's plant the hands. We're gonna come forward into a frog pose. So the frog, you get a 90 degrees angle between your hips and your thighs. And you have another 90-degree angle with the thighs and the calves. And then lower legs. And then you also flex the feet for another 90-degree angle. So yeah, you have frog legs now. Then from here, you start to lower the upper body. You try to slide the hips even lower. And then maybe you walk it out even further with the upper body. I actually like to stay up on my elbows because it gives me a little more weight into my hips. And now see what it feels like to draw the navel in toward the spine from here. And then exhale. And we're getting that little bit of pelvic tilt happening. How does that change the stretch? And settle in. And just see what it feels like to kind of push the sit bones back a bit so that you get an acute angle between the hips and the thighs. Breathing here. Now to come out of it, we're going to come forward, lower onto the belly, bring the feet back behind you, stretch out the hands, and rock the pelvis from side to side. Okay, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, press on up. We're coming back into downward dog. Let's inhale the right leg up. Exhale, let's send the right leg through the hands. Let's drop down on the knee. Inhale here, and as we exhale, we're gonna send the hips back into a forward fold over the extended leg. Inhale, ride forward. Exhale, sink back. Inhale to ride forward. Really establish your lunge here. Make sure you're feeling it in the top of the thigh here, the bottom of the hip. That's your psoas. That's a hard one to target. So let's make sure that we're in there. And if you're not feeling anything, then you're gonna scoot the knee back a bit and then roll the left hip toward the ground. Okay, from here, let's climb on up to the thigh. Let's pull the lower abs away from the thigh. Let's reach up to our fingertips. As we exhale, we're going to come to the inside of the leg and we're going to come down to our lizard. So start out lizard by walking the hands out. And once you get the hands out, maybe the elbows come down. Okay, check in with the spine. If the spine is all curled up, then we need to come back out a bit because we want to try to keep length out of the spine, out of the crown of the head. Let's hug that right knee in toward the right shoulder. And now let's see if there's any more space to move into gravity. Now, if you're bent on getting your elbows down and your back is not cooperating, we can have our blocks here. Breathe in here. Let's inhale ourselves on up. And now we're going to take that foot and we're going to walk it right across to the left hand. And we're going to set the knee down behind the right. We're going to set the right knee down behind the right wrist. We're going to try to get the foot behind the left hand. Okay, if that's not happening today, that's okay. You can walk that heel in. Okay, let's walk the hands under the shoulders, open the heart. Once we got that established, let's walk out the hands again. And we're gonna settle on here. Now for my friends who are pretty open down here, reach out strongly with the left hand and reach out to the side with the right hand. Now most likely, stay down. Most likely you'll be feeling this around the outside of the right hip, okay? Go right there with your breath and your attention. This is the one where flight or fright tends to really kick in. Breathe intelligence into the space and make sure you're going there with compassion. Okay, we're not doing no pain, no gain here. We're exploring. How can you explore if you throw out your hip? So just know we're trying to learn all about loading our muscles, stretching our muscles without going too far. Let's find our boundary. Don't let the monkey mind decide where that boundary is. That monkey is a critic. So on one hand, it'll start telling you that you're not going far enough. You imposter you. And on the other hand, the monkey might be like, ow, 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 we can't do this. I don't want to do this. Don't, it hurts too much. We're killing ourselves. Well, we need to come at these poses with our sage mind, and our sage knows if we're going too far or not far enough. All right, let's begin the journey back up. Plant the hands, tuck the toes, send that right leg up and back slowly. Let's do a few rotations. Whoa, that hip joint is so activated. So much vitality. Thank you. Exhale, lower it down. Let's inhale the left leg up. Exhale, let's send it through the hands. Lower down on the left knee. Okay. Let's offer our heart forward. Let's find the stretch in the top of the right hip. And as we exhale, we find ourselves moving into the hamstrings of the left leg. As we inhale, we find the psoas again of the right leg. And as we exhale, moving into the left. Inhale to come forward. Let's establish our low lunge here, Anjaneyasana. And we're gonna crawl on up. Again, we're trying to find space between the lower abs and the thigh. Okay. Try to sink the tailbone toward the center body. Try to lift up through the abs to find lift all the way up the fingertips. So inhale to reach up through the fingertips. And exhale to sink more into the hips. Roll that right hip toward the ground. Reach up here. As we exhale, we're going to come down on the inside of the left leg. So let's crawl the left foot out a bit so we have some space. And we're going to come down onto our elbows. Then we're going to breathe here. We're going to keep drawing the right knee or left knee in toward the left elbow or left shoulder. We're going to follow our breath out of our head, out of our eyes, and go explore the insides. Go explore this vast network of the nervous system. Breathe into that space. Exhale everything on your next exhale. As we inhale, let's find our way back up. We're going to walk the foot over so that we get the left heel behind the right hand and the knee behind the left. Okay. And again, if we can't get the shin parallel to the top of the mat, that's perfect. It's perfectly okay to bring the heel in toward the hips. Okay. What we're trying to do is get the hips square. Okay, so that might mean rolling the right hip more strongly down toward the mat. Okay. So let's bring the fingertips under the shoulders. Roll the shoulder heads, open the chest. Get a bit of a back bend here, and exhale our journey into that outer left hip. Hello, outer left hip. Now for my easy people who are really easy in pigeon, let's reach out really strongly with the right arm. Reach straight out with the left. So what this does is we're trying to roll the right hip into the mat. While we get lots of length through the right side body. We can even use the left hand to push the right hip in. And then explore that in all the outer part of the hip joint. Yes, there's stuff probably happening on the inside too, but we really want to make sure we have that target. If that's not happening, just kind of come out a bit and kind of explore, like bringing yourself into that space. Maybe even scooting the foot up a little bit more if you're not getting anything in that hips, in the outer hip. And then settle wherever you are. Inhabit your hips. Notice what the monkey mind does. And we don't need to judge the monkey mind. That's not what we're here for. Monkey mind does all the judging it needs to do. We're just gonna notice all the little monkey mind's judgments without being a part of it. Just go, oh yeah, okay, monkey mind. You do you. And meanwhile, we're gonna settle into that quiet, compassionate, peaceful space of the self. That wise place we have. All of us have it within us. Inhale here. Exhale, let's begin the journey back up. Let's tuck the toe. Come on up. Oh, release it with care. Nurture that hip. Let's take a few little rotations with the knee in that hip socket. And when you're ready, let's bring them both down. Let's come forward into a plank. Exhale into our chaturanga. Inhale and up dog. Exhale to down dog. And from downward dog, let's come down on our knees. Let's bring the knees close together. Heels come apart. And we're gonna sit up in hero pose. Okay, so I'm sitting front wide so you can see the knees are together, the heels are apart, our sit bones are on the ground. If that's not happening, we can stick a block under our sit bones. Okay. And so let's rock back and forth with our pelvis. Let's find our equilibrium. So now our bowl, our fish bowl is upright. Okay. You know, if you're finding a lot of sensation going on in the knees, what we want to do is kind of tuck the tailbone. Just give it a little tuck. Okay, those you feel pretty good here, stay right here. Otherwise, we can move into reclined hero, supine hero. Okay. And we can roll down onto our elbows first. Again, tuck the tailbone. See how the stretch shifts up the legs into the hips if we tuck. Keep it tucked, keep the knees drawn together. Tucking in. Maybe we can come down onto our shoulders. Again, tuck the tailbone. Try to bring a little bit of arch out of the spine. Maybe we can reach up overhead. Breathe in here, press into the back of the feet. Keep sending the tailbone down toward the knees. Inhale here. Exhale, let's begin the journey back up. Let's bring the elbows under to help us come on up. And as we come forward, you just tap the feet. Let's bring the knees together, hands under the shoulders. Make a few circles with the hips. Start small, but then start to get bigger. So the hips come all the way to the sit bones as you sweep them around. And the other way. And back to center. So from hands and knees, we're just going to cross the ankles, roll back over, and send the legs straight out. And from straight out, we're going to draw the right knee in. We're going to cross it over, lean to the left so we can bring the left heel over toward the right sit bone. Let's do a twist here. So the right hand comes behind the back, and we come into a twist. Finding the root through the sacrum, lifting all the way up to the crown of the head. And exhale back to center. From here, you can just release the legs and switch sides, or you can do-si-do, so you come forward, spin, 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 just follow your feet, and you end up coming back down onto the other side. So we got the right heel close to the left hip. We got the left knee in front of us with the ankle crossed over the thigh. Okay, let's bring the left hand behind us. Sit up nice and tall. Let's reach up with the right hand and draw the ribs around. Maybe we get the elbow to the outside, maybe we just hug the knee in, and then send the gaze toward the back of the room. Notice how the breath travels in this compressed twist. Big inhale. And exhale back to center. Okay, this time we're going to bring our legs wide. Let's give them a little shake as we're here. And then we're going to walk ourselves forward. Try to keep the knees and toes pointing toward the sky. And then maybe we crawl down a little bit more. Okay, tuck in, long spine, exhale to crawl down even more. Maybe we get our forehead to the mat. Breathing in. Any type of forward fold is a time to reconnect with the stillness and separate yourself from the monkey chatter. Let's bring ourselves back up to sitting. Okay, let's bring our legs in together, give them a shake. We're gonna bring the right leg in. First, just make a number 4 with your legs. Interlace the fingers and the feet and give a few rotations through the ankle. Now let's draw that foot right into the crease of the thigh. And we're gonna try to drop the right knee down toward the ground. If this feels comfortable, stay right here. If you want to come into half lotus, you can just bring the other foot under the knee for some support. Okay? Or if you'd like to try to go into full lotus, let's bring that foot on top, the left foot on top, and so both feet are in the hip creases. Okay? Now, if anything's going on with the knee, come back to the previous step, okay? Because this is not a knee stretch. Okay, so let's sit up nice and tall here. Maybe you feel pretty comfortable here. Maybe you can press in next to your hips and lift. Oh, maybe do a little rock and roll. And exhale, lower down. Maybe we can do a little bit of a twist this way. A little bit of a twist this way. And then maybe we can just settle in. Okay, if you like to get kind of silly and playful with this one, you can come up onto the knees and lower yourself down on your face. This kind of feels like frog. And let's come on back around. And let's release our legs. Let's sway the knees from side to side. So lean back, lift the hip, lift the chest, and sway the knees. Roll onto one hip and then the other. And let's give the other side a try. Okay, so extend through the right leg. Let's bring the left foot into a 4. Interlace our fingers to the toes. Just gonna get our feet awake, get our ankles. Then we're gonna draw the outer blade into the hip crease. Let the knee come toward the mat. If this feels good, stay right here. Next step is to bring the right heel under the knee. Give it some support. This is so even if you try this one and it feels like you're in a good place, if the knee is floating, go ahead and try this one and just see how that feels. It's nice to have the foot under the knee for support. Okay, for those going into full padmasana, we can bring the right foot or left foot into the right foot into the left hip crease. So pretzels. All right. Find your seat here. Maybe do a couple twists. Settle into the pose. Notice where the sensation is and sink your mind into it. Stay right here. If you'd like to get playful, maybe the hands come by the hips and we can engage the core, lift the sit bones off the mat and rock a little bit. And then maybe you want to try the roll over the knees. Okay, just explore it. This could be no way, or it could be, oh, okay, not too bad. Lower down as if you were lowering down in chaturanga. And if your bum is sticking way up in the air like mine is, that's okay. Making sure there's no pinching sensations anywhere, no shooting pains. And when you're ready to come out, push yourself up and over and settle in. Let's release the legs. Lean back into the hands. Sway the knees from side to side. Let's draw the knees into the chest and lower ourselves onto the mat. Hug the knees in. Sway from side to side. Feel the massage of the sacrum on the mat. Let's part the knees. Soles of the feet come up to the sky. Take hold of the outer blades of the foot. Let's do a little bit of rocking back and forth. Happy baby. Knees into the chest. Squeeze the knees together. Resist the hands with the knees. Hug the knees in. Nose comes to knee. Nice big breath here. And exhale, release. Let's extend the legs on the mat for a lovely shavasana. Imagine you can inhale, inflate all this area with your inhale, and exhale, release everything. Thank you so much for sharing that journey into the hips with me. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you want more like this, please hit subscribe. And if you have any requests or comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. Again, thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.